Hey, what's going on YouTube? Alabama Reloader here. So coming to you today working on some loads for this guy. This is the CVA Scout in 450 Bushmaster. So shot the first, it was supposed to be first 25 rounds through the barrel not too long ago. I loaded up the Hornady 245 grain soft point. It's their interlock bullet for the 450 Bushmaster. And this was using Winchester 296. The manual calls for 2.225 inch overall length, and their max charge was 40.4. We worked up to that. Started toward the top end of the range at 39.6 and went up to 40.4, just jumping 2/10, and didn't really have any good results from the initial range session with these rounds. And part of that, if you watched the previous video on this, part of it was because the scope came loose. The scope base actually came loose, and after I shot, I think it was like the first couple of groups, I was getting a little worried because the groups were pretty terrible, and noticed that the base was completely loose. So kind of, basically called it on that range day, and got back, tore everything apart, tightened everything down, used Loctite, got it squared away. I actually swapped out the scope. I put this SWFA fixed 10 on there. This is just for load development purposes only. This will be coming off. I've actually got a red dot. I'm thinking about putting a red dot on here. I don't plan on shooting this very far, but I don't know. I'm torn on red dot or maybe just an LPVO. Haven't really decided one way or the other. You guys let me know, what do you think? Because again, the shot distance that I'll be taking with this rifle, 100 in, something along those lines. So I've got other rifles if I plan on shooting any further than that, but so kind of contemplating red dot there. But in today's load session, so if you're watching this video, it can kind of go one of two ways, okay? And it can go really badly, or it'll go really great. that's kind of our two paths here that we can go down. And if you're watching this, then that means that I've uploaded this video, which means I've already shot these rounds, which means I've finished the video by adding an additional segment to it, and you guys can check out the path that we end up going down. Now, I say that because we're using Ramshot Enforcer on our powder today. We're switching powders. Our brass is Starline brass, brand new, unfired. These 26. I ended up spilling one the last time when I was trying to load these 25. Had powder in it, and I went to put it in the press, and I knocked it over, spilled the powder out, and at that point, I was like, you know what? I was down to the last one. I'll just hold on to this one. I'll load up 26 on the second go around, which is what I'm going to do today. And we're switching to Ramshot Enforcer. We didn't have any luck with Winchester 296. Even after I got the scope debacle squared away, it's still that they didn't really group that well. So we're switching to Ramshot Enforcer, and it could be a primer thing. I think I saw a couple of people mention maybe swapping primers. We're shooting the CCI 400s. These are just standard small rifle primers. We might switch to something else. I've got a bunch of 450s sitting on the shelf. We could switch to those. So we'll see. But brand new Starline brass, like I said, CCI 400 primer, and I have already chamfered, deburred the case mouth, and I've also expanded these just ever so slightly. When I run these up through the expanding die that comes with the Lee 4-die set for the 450 Bushmaster, I basically, I don't really want to expand to the point where I have to follow it up with a crimp, because this headspace is off of the mouth of the case. So I try to avoid a crimp at all, if at all possible. With things like the 450 Bushmaster, 350 Legend, I don't crimp. I just barely expand the case mouth to the point where I can start the bullet square to the mouth of the case, and that's it. I don't like to expand. I don't like to over expand. But yeah, so we're going ram shot enforcer. And the reason why I say we can go down 2 paths is the Hornady manual for this bullet and this powder combination shows a max charge of 36 grains. The Hodgdon load data online, which they now own ram shot powders and Western powders, so they kind of gobbled them up. And now they have data for enforcer for the 450 Bushmaster, and it's a 250 grain bullet, but Hornady lumps their 245 and their 250 together, and their max charge is 36. Hodgdon shows a max of 38.5. So you can see where I'm going with this. We could be going down one of 2 paths, right? Obviously, don't follow this load data. It is above at least Hornady's published max. We're still operating within Hodgdon's published max, but you never know. Things could get squirrely. So we're going to start at 37.3 and work our way up in 0.3 of a grain increments and see what happens. So that's it. That's what I'm talking about. We can go down 2 different paths. One's going to be, hey, this is very dangerous. I'll take the first shot. We're going to be massively over pressure. Got to pull all the ammo. Don't replicate any of this. This was pointless. Now you know that, yes, you probably should stay within that published max by Hornady. Or the flip side is, hey, maybe Hornady's being a little too conservative with their information. It appears that at least in this firearm, in this situation, with this particular load, I'm able to exceed their max and operate within the Hodgdon max and get good performance, good velocity. Because that's one thing I do want to check. That's this little guy here. The last round, we're just going to load him up at the max, the 38.5, and we'll capture just one velocity data point. I want to see how it groups with these 5-shot groups. I just want to see how the thing performs at 100 yards. So that's it. Y'all stay tuned for the range footage. I will definitely try to capture, I'll try to have my tripod with me to capture range footage when I go and do this. So y'all stay tuned. All right, so we're back in the house, and you may be like, hey, I thought there was supposed to be range footage. That's what you said in the segment just a minute ago, and you're right, that's what I said, but guess what? I'll let you guys down. No range footage. I was in a massive hurry trying to shoot this, but I don't know what's going on. I have no clue what is going on with this 450 Bushmaster. So it is the CVA Scout. Okay, and 450 Bushmaster. I've got a SWFA fixed 10 on top just for low development purposes. And if we go back and look at the other target that I shot, the first 24 rounds that I put through this rifle, it looked very similar to this, but that was because, well, part of the 24 rounds that I shot, the first 2, I think it was 2 5-shot groups. After that, the scope had come loose during that shooting process of the first couple of groups. And so I was shooting with a loose scope, I think through maybe the first 3 5-shot groups. So the last 2, I had gone back, tightened everything back down, shot the last 2 groups. They weren't really much better than this. And so that was using, that was using Winchester 296. So I swapped powders, same bullet, Hornady 245 grain interlock bullet that they sell for the 450 Bushmaster, and switched to Ramshot Enforcer. I've had really good luck with that powder in the past for things like 350 Legend, 300 Blackout. It's typically been a pretty good performer. Not velocity wise, it's not one of your better velocity options, just overall accuracy. It lends pretty well to decent accuracy in my experience. And so swapped to that powder and went with Hodgdon's load data. I've already talked about that in the previous segment to start the video, so you guys know all about this, that we're actually shooting above Hornady's max, but this is the Hodgdon max that's listed on their website. So we went up to that, we loaded up to that. I only shot 3 groups, so I shot 37.3, 0.6, and 0.9. So This was the 37.3 group right here. If you guys can look at it this way, my point of aim, I was aiming here. Point of impact was low and to the right, and it was these 4 shots. So these were actually the first 2, and I was like, oh, okay, couple right there next to each other, nice. And then all of a sudden, it just, the last 3, I was like, oh my god, here we go again, right? And I had cleaned this barrel. That's the other thing I want to mention is after I put those 24 shots through it, I scrubbed this barrel pretty good. Got it as clean as I could possibly get it. I don't have a bore scope, so I can't say definitively it was, 100% fully clean, but I scrubbed it pretty good, cleaned it pretty good with some Vortec cleaning products, and it was very clean. So then we come back, and I was like, okay, maybe get a few shots in there, let it foul up a little bit, and life will be good. So I made a scope adjustment and shot the next shot. So I went up and to the left on my scope. Next shot, I was like, okay, that adjustment looks pretty good. Almost point of aim was here. And then the next 4 dropped right here. So that's weird, right? Like, what in the world is going on there? So that was slightly frustrating. So I made another scope adjustment up, went up 2 inches on the scope to MOA, and then shot the 3rd group, which is this guy. So looks like a dice almost, a die, whatever you want to call it. It was just crazy, and that was 37.9. So I don't know. You guys help me out here. I have no clue if it's just this particular bullet. Maybe this barrel absolutely hates this bullet. Maybe. But we have yet to shoot anything remotely close to an acceptable group out of this rifle with 2 different powders. Now it's only 3 5-shot groups on this one. But man, I ended up just not shooting the last 2 groups, mostly because I ran out of time, but to be honest with you, I was just tired of shooting this garbage. So, I don't know. You guys help me out here. I am using CCI 400 primers. I saw somebody, I think, recommend using Magnum primers. So I'll switch to that if we really think that that's what's causing all of this. I don't know. I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if that's what would be causing, performance that's this bad. This is terrible, absolutely terrible. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Maybe switch into the 450s. I'd have to get another box of these bullets to try them out because there's only 50 in a box. I've got 11 left now, but they're loaded up. It's these last 2. It's 38.2 and 38.5. So yeah, that's my last 11. I did load up 6 on the 38.5 grain group. I was going to grab 1 velocity data point just to see where we were at velocity wise. Because I think according to Hodgson, we're supposed to be over, it's like 2130 or something like that feet per second. Hornady at 36 grains, their max, they're showing like 2,000 feet per second. So yeah, I don't know. I'm open to suggestions. I just need some help. What do you guys think? Because this would be a really killer setup. I'm thinking about putting a red dot. I've got a red dot sitting around, and I'm really thinking about, once I get a halfway decent load worked up, something that's repeatable, take this guy off, put a red dot on there. And I think this would be a killer gun to tote through the pine thicket, over in Vina, over in Franklin County, where I do some hunting from time to time. Man, this might be the ticket right here. Throw a little red dot on there and head out, see if you can't get something on the ground. But I tell you what, if it's doing this, you ain't gonna hit what you're shooting at. So that's it. That's where we're gonna leave it. A little bit defeated on this range day. There was a positive, shooting that Kimber M96. To be honest with you, these are some of the better groups I've shot out of it. So that's not saying much, but it's promising. Much more promising than this. So that's it. Open to suggestions. You guys leave some comments down below. I don't know. We need some direction on this and to kind of what to do next. Maybe swapping the primer will be the thing to do. If enough people feel like, hey, yes, that really is the only problem, hey, we'll swap it out. I'll order another box of bullets. We'll swap it out. We'll test it, load up both of these powders again and see how it does. So that's it. You guys let me know what you think. We'll catch y'all next time. Y'all have a good one.